back, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the iGame. Still talking about the imaginary series, all the different elements of our prideful, fantasy, selfish worlds we create. And in a subconscious, inadvertent way, many of us become narcissists, and we don't even know it. So we have to spend a lot of time in prayer. We have to spend a lot of time humbling ourselves, because this new world allows us to become narcissists. And we all exhibit those attitudes sometimes. And then we find excuses for it. PTSD, past trauma, you just don't understand me, all the other stories we create because we don't want to be challenged or checked on our selfish motives and selfish agendas. So we gotta have real friends and not imaginary friends, because our imaginary friends are really followers that we promote to give us the sympathy and the empathy we want. When God sends real friends, they're usually abrasive, because iron sharpens iron. And that's actually a Bible verse. Like, I was grown before I realized that was in the Bible. I just thought it was some, good street term, or some old head, some OG created that. It's actually in the Bible. A real friend, it's iron sharpening iron. The real friends are the people that are abrasive because they challenge you to go and challenge you to grow. And they'll correct you when you're wrong. But especially, especially the last 15, 20 years, we have created a world where you could only surround yourself with people who are followers and people who are just like you. And people who are selfish just like you're selfish. And we could pick each other up and put each other down by swiping left or swiping right and pushing a button in the phone. And if I'm uncomfortable, I can just ignore your call and the next day tell you I didn't have a signal. Like, I still remember when that first started, back in 2000, 2001, 2002, when everybody got their first phones. Anytime somebody didn't want to play with you that day, I didn't have a signal last night. And when phones first came out, that was a lie everybody was using. I ain't have a signal. But before we had phones, we were together, so you couldn't avoid each other, because before we had phones, real friends, we were always together. Even if we didn't like each other that day. Like, I remember sitting in the car with my boys and we wouldn't even talk the whole day. We'll ride to the court, nobody's talking. Play basketball, nobody's talking. On the way home, nobody's talking. Pull over at 7-Eleven, get a couple Swisher Sweets and a few blunts and some Black & Milds. Because we were mad at each other, but we were still together because we were human. And but the fact that we were human, we needed the company. You're still my friend, I just don't like you today. And I'd explain that to my son. We used to be humans and we were all together, connected, live, 4 of us in the car. But we may have been mad that day. We probably could have gotten into a fight that day. Like, I fought some of my friends, and 2 hours later we shook hands, sat down and ate dinner together. Because iron sharpens iron. But when this new high tech world came, guess what? Everybody's distancing each other on the phone. Like, social distance started before COVID. Because now I can pick you up and put you down if I don't feel like it. Like, I remember when I got my first phone, you tell her, it could be a friend or it could be a girl. I see you at 7. Driving to the apartment, 6:45, I'm not home, but I see the car. Because now we can pick people up and put each other down with our phones. We created narcissistic ways with this technology. And we learned the new methods of how to use and abuse and misuse each other. And I just thank God I'm 40 and not 20, and I didn't have to grow up in this fake world. Because it still blows my mind. I could talk about this imaginary friend thing forever, but just looking at my kids, when we try to plan parties and birthday parties for them, you got 800 friends on Instagram, but nobody came to the birthday party. Who are your real friends? And another element of this thing, which is a problem, is how much time do you spend with real people in a day? And how much time do you spend on social media talking to everybody from a distance? You could spend 4 hours texting all your friends, but actually talk to your real brother and sister for 5 minutes and you're in the same house. How much time are you spending talking to real people at your church? And how much time are you spending on social media talking to strangers who live in other states? How much time do you spend talking to your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, or even your children? How many hours do you spend with your child in one day? And how many hours did you spend on Facebook and Snapchat today? Now the new thing is, TikTok, we still got Instagram, but these are all imaginary friends. They're not real people. And you can put on any character you want because they're at a distance. But the real people in your real life, they're abrasive. They challenge you. And unfortunately, when you always want pleasure and you always want to feel good, you'll distance yourself from the real people in your life. Like the divorce rate is like 80, 90% now. Why? Because I can have all these superficial friendships and all these transcendental relationships through the internet and through my phone, but this real man or this real woman who lives in my house, they see all my flaws. So I'd rather be single. I'd rather date multiple people because now I could just see you for 2 hours on Friday night, play my role for 2 hours and then send you home, date another person on Saturday night, put on a character for 2 hours, and as soon as this person makes me uncomfortable, send them home. Go to church on Sunday, keep everybody at a distance because they don't know my real life. I can just sing my songs and listen to the preacher, go back to work Monday and pretend I got it all under control. Imaginary friends, it's an imaginary world. And because of technology, we can get away with it. That's why the divorce rate is 80, 90%, because this real person knows your real flaws, and that makes you really uncomfortable. So I'd rather have imaginary friends. And this applies to men and women. This ain't, we're all in this narcissistic game. And God's gonna continue to send challenges to knock you out of this narcissistic game. That's why some of our lives are so hard. God's trying to wake you up to the real you. Because the imaginary you can't go to heaven. The real you is gonna be judged. So God's gonna send real opposition and real persecution and real problems to make you real. Like our American lives are so easy. We get away with so much stuff. We have permission to be fake. And because everybody's fake, we're all playing the same delusional game. That's what the title of the podcast originally was, The Illegitimate Game. We learn all these rules to play a game we shouldn't be playing. And then you get punished for playing it wrong. Like I still remember back, before I was married, but I could imagine how treacherous it is now. Because even back then, I remember dating this one woman. She was a professional dancer, I'm gonna say it that way. And she used to tell me all the time, "You're not lying right." I'm like, what? She was like, "Yeah, you can tell, just say it. You can lie, it's okay. You're not lying right." Like she used to tell me to feed her the delusion. She would get mad at me for telling her the truth because she wanted to live in her fantasy. And I enjoyed the moments while I had the moments, but I knew this couldn't be a wife because she wanted to live the lie. But that fit into her character as the professional dancer because her whole life was a fantasy. Her life was the amusement park. That's why she worked in those places at night. Because her life was the amusement park and she had a lot of money and she had a lot of fans. So she didn't want the truth because the truth might make her uncomfortable living that lifestyle. So it's, the imaginary friends, when God sends the real friends, they're going to challenge you to be real. They're going to challenge you to grow. Your real friends are the ones who ask you to go to the gym. Your real friends are the ones who ask you why you didn't go to college. Your real friends are the ones who remind you of your plans to start the business and it makes you uncomfortable because you didn't do it yet. Your real friends are the ones who call you out for procrastinating. Your real friends are the ones that wake you up on Sunday morning to go to church and you don't want to go. Your real friends are the ones who are not afraid to call you a liar. And those are people God sends to make you better, to make you wake up. And you need real friends because this is a real world and there are going to be times where you're hurting. And your real friends are the ones who hurt when you're hurting. They cry when you cry. Your real friends are the ones who feel your pain while you're in pain. And they're going to help you grow and come out of it. Your fake friends are the ones who are the followers that you promote and give positions to make you feel good, and they're going to lie to you, like I told you about my old friend. They're going to lie to you and tell you, "Oh, it's all good, it's all good." And when you're chanting, "It's me against the world," and they hate it, they're going to lie with you. They're going to agree with your delusion. That's why they're there. But these people also draw you further and further away from God. And sooner or later, you're going to have that wake-up call, and you're going to need real people. But they're not going to come until you're real with yourself. And that's the hardest thing to do, is to be real with yourself. Because now it's just you and God. And what are you going to do? So you don't want the imaginary friends. I know it looks good, it feels good, You got 80 friends at your birthday party. You got your drinks in the air. Everybody's cute, everybody's hot, everybody's sexy, everybody's happy. But it's not real. You want the real thing. And guess what? You can have that same fun with real people, but you have to be real first. And iron sharpens iron. These real people are going to be abrasive. You have to be willing to be wrong. You have to be willing to grow. And you have to humble yourself. So, make a choice. The imaginary world or the real world. Peace.